Do you want to do the clapping 3, 2, 1?
All right, clapping 3, 2, 1.
What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Buckhouse Podcast. We are your hosts, Johnathan Buckhouse and Benjamin Buckhouse, right over here. This is episode 12 of the podcast. This is a long-awaited episode because we just both had major things happen, right, bro? I just got done with Dallas Fan Expo, and more importantly, you just got done with your snowboard camp. Let's jump straight into that. How was snowboard camp?
It was awful because I got broke off.
Awful?
Yeah. So I, on the first day of my snowboard camp, on the last run, I had one of my most violent falls I've ever had snowboarding, and I severely sprained my right ankle to the point in which for the first 3 days of camp, I couldn't even put weight onto it. So I was like crawling around the camp house, not being able to go snowboarding with all these people that paid money to go snowboarding with me. Thankfully, Nico, who came to work for me this year at camp, is an incredible snowboarder. He stepped up to the plate and did all the on-snow coaching. I did all the at the house, like video review coaching, and then would give Nico like a bunch of drills and skills to take the campers out and do. It wasn't ideal because obviously me being out there and the fact that I've coached a bunch kind of gives me a better eye than Nico had, but he did to the best of his abilities. The campers were all cool about it. It's at the end of the day with action sports, you never know when or how or if someone's going to get got. And I got so bad. It was so violent. And yeah, at the end of the day, the camp did what it needed to do. People learned to get better at snowboarding. People had a good time. We made a little bit of money. We got to go out to Hood. So like, it did what it needed to do. It did what it was supposed to do. I just didn't get to snowboard, and I'm still in pain. There's like fancy ankle brace I got to put on, and my ankle hurts.
Yeah, I noticed that, and like how unfortunate it was for not just yourself but the campers, right? And you're right. Sadly, it's an action sport and anything can happen, and so it's unfortunate that the campers didn't get that full experience. But it seemed I watched the videos. It seemed like it was still a ton of fun. It seems like the campers still had a phenomenal time and a great time learning. And Nico is crazy.
Yeah,
I don't know where you found that guy, but he's crazy.
I found him from my snowboard camps. Also, I found Cody, and man, that's someone I want to bring on board full time on the team. Like, you just meet some people and they have that work ethic and that drive, and he also has the snowboard ability. And it's like, dang, like if I snowboard with that dude every day, I will definitely be a better snowboarder. And he works so freaking hard. So it's like very motivating for me to try to like, get this figured out, like get the income back to where it was, so you can have him and Cody and like start building the team with these people that are workhorses that, like, I'm sure you've met them if you're like a manager or someone that has their own business. When you meet someone that can actually work really, really hard, it's so hard to find. And when you find them, you're like, I got to figure out how to have this person around all the time because they are the best.
So it's funny you say that. So I create a lot of scenarios in my head, so don't worry about it. Don't like this next part. There's no real, like, I don't have an explanation. It was just a thought that I had, but it was like, let's say in a little bit, like in like 2 years, things are doing well and everything. And Jonathan's like, hey bro, do you want to come and edit for me? Like, do you want to be an editor? Right. Hopefully, actually, I got my own stuff going on, but like, just hypothetical situation. Jonathan's like, hey Ben, do you want to come edit for me? It's like, I could edit for you, but like, I would rather you have Cody, dude. Cody's a like Cody's a great employee to have. Like, I would want you to have Cody over having me. Like I thought about that actually yesterday. So it's funny that you're saying that and everything.
Yeah, dude, I don't want you at all. I'm joking. No, it's hard. It's such a weird fine balance of like wanting to grow the team, but making sure everything is right. And social media, I got to meet up with Kevin from Snowboard Pro Camp and got to talk with him. And a lot of the struggles that I'm having are exactly the same things that are going on his channel, and he's the largest snowboard YouTube channel. And so it's nice to know that these aren't like specifically a me thing, like the struggles that I'm having. It's just not like, oh, I'm doing something wrong. It's like, no, the industry is shifting. Now it's my job to shift with these the shifts and figure them out and get back on track. And there's always a saying like, what got you here won't get you there, essentially. So I got to always be adapting and growing, and I feel like I always am. But there's some other shifts that need to happen for sure.
Yeah. Also, I just want to throw it out there for the listeners. This is not a guarantee in any way, shape, or form, but Johnathan had 2 employees on this snowboard camp, and both his employees he met while doing snowboard camp. Like the camps also give you a great opportunity to show Johnathan value and be incorporated in the channel one way or another, right? And that's awesome, bro, that you're kind of essentially giving back to the community almost a little bit, right? Like
well, I always say this to so I always say this to people. I'm like, hey, like, this is a snowboard camp, but like there's so many kids that are interested in making snowboard YouTube content, and I'm like, why would you not come to my camp? Like, you don't have to come to my camp to learn how to get better at snowboarding. You could literally come and see how we create our videos, how we edit our videos, how we post them, how we make the like all the strategy behind it. You can come pick my brain. Like, that's all fair game at my snowboard camps. And a lot of people have and probably should do more, like come to the camp to be like, to show off, like, hey man, like I would love to work for you, and I what can I do to help? And like, that's what Nico's done. Nico came to camp 2 years in a row and was just like, while he was there, he's like, yo, can I help do something? Can I help? And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I actually need a helper. And I reached out to Nico and he was like, absolutely, I would love to come work for you at camp this year. And he crushed it. I can't even explain how much that dude went above and beyond, from not only like stepping up as the coach, but from the last day I woke up, and by the time I woke up, he already had the entire kitchen cleaned and the living room picked up, and like just getting things ready to be like, oh, it's the last day we're leaving. And just without asking, he just did stuff. And I was like, dude, you are the man. So big shout out to Nico. But yeah, if you want to, I know sometimes I joke about it on my live stream, like, if you want a job, come to my camp. Like there's always an opportunity, because like I hired Nate, who came to my camps as well. So I just get to meet these people on a very personal level, spend a whole week together. Like, they really do create incredible bonds. So I think, and me personally, I want to start going to like other creators' opportunities, whether that's their camps or their seminars or, things like that within reason. It'd be really rad to go see if like, oh, if I went and hung out with this creator, like maybe an opportunity to like, I don't want to go work for someone, but like to collaborate or do things with them will open up.
This last camp would have been the perfect camp for somebody to pick your brain on YouTube, because you were stuck at the house editing the whole time. They could have just sat there and you couldn't have left. You couldn't have gone anywhere, bro.
I literally couldn't have moved. But yeah, if someone wanted a master class in editing, I was there. I was available to just sit there and watch me edit and get everything you needed to know. So yeah, opportunities present themselves. Take them while you can. And on that note, let's hear a little bit about MLG Dallas. No, joking, what was it? What was it?
MLG. It was it's called Fan Expo Dallas. So there's essentially two. I'm newer to the industry, so I'm probably still a little wrong with this, but there's 2 main companies that do Comic-Cons, like comic conventions, and that is ComicCon and then Fan Expo. They're the same thing, just different names. And then there are some past that. There's a thing called like Anime Con and Dragon Con. I'm not going to get into those because honestly, I don't know much about them. But like, those are the 2 main ones for the comic conventions. And so they're the same thing. It's just different companies. It was a lot of fun. This was my company's first time going to Dallas, so it was a little bit newer experience for all of us. I don't know how to explain it, but this is now my second convention I've gone to, and somehow this one seems so much faster paced than the last one. But we didn't have any extra like time restraints. We actually probably had less time restraints because we were staying closer to the venue and things like that, and yet it seemed like we were still so much more go go go. And this was my first con where I was doing the podcast at the same time, and everything was just fighting against me. I'm so surprised I got episode 11 out. Or 11? No, episode 10 out on time and everything like that. It was just a hectic time. It was a lot of fun though. Dallas was crazy. A lot of homeless people, to tell you the truth, but we also were there during the Mavs games, but it was while they were playing in Boston, so it wasn't as crazy. But when the game was on, there were still people watching everywhere. It was pretty fun.
Did you show up with like new content strategies since this was your second Comic-Con?
Yeah, so I had a couple of different content strategies. I watched some videos leading up to it, I did some research leading up to it. So I got some general footage. I don't want to. I mean, it's a smaller podcast. We're okay. Some strategies are essentially like a top to bottom run, bro. Kind of like what you do, top to bottom runs, where it was a overview. And what I did was I literally walked around the entire venue filming with my gimbal and phone and everything, and just kind of like briefly edited it. Like if I got stuck in a congested part where I was just like stuck behind people, I'd fast forward through that. But for the most part, it was just me showing off the booths and me showing off the cosplays and me showing off like each area that you could go to and kind of what to do. So that was one video that I got filmed. And then cosplayers are a big deal when it comes to these conventions. That's what a lot of people love to see. So I made a video every single day while I was out there. Well, I say every day, but like, so I filmed day 1, day 2, day 3 of people in their cosplays. And then the next day I would edit them. So I edited and posted 2 videos while I was out there. That was new for me. And what it was like just highlighting the cosplays that I filmed and took pictures of. So that was a different strategy. And then just did a general vlog, and I just actually got that edited done yesterday, and I'm pretty stoked about it.
Heck yeah, dude. I haven't been to a comic convention or a Comic-Con or anything like that, but I definitely have done MLG Dallas, which I would believe is in the same like big amphitheater thing, which is always a fun time. Is it where DreamHacks was?
No. So okay. I was more towards Dallas Fort Worth rather than like Dallas. And it was the Kay Bailey Convention Center, which is a very, very cool convention center. But no, it was different from MLG Dallas and everything.
That's cool. A new experience. And then, I mean, the Dallas Mavericks are still in the hunt as of this current podcast. I thought it was 3-1.
No, they lost last night. Celtics won.
Oh, was that last night? Okay.
Yep, it was last night. GG Celtics. Nobody wanted you to win, but whatever.
I'll say the Bucks didn't even get a chance, man. Giannis was hurt the entire playoffs. So that was a bummer.
With my job, I know we just talked about comic conventions, but a big part of my job is actually sports cards. So I have to know sports pretty well, things like that. So I started paying more attention to the NBA. I actually went to my first ever NBA game this year. I went to game 1 of the finals versus the Timberwolves for the Nuggets, and they lost. But
maybe you brought the bad juju. No joking.
Well, so I've gone to every sports game for Denver other than an Avalanche game. I've not gone to
those are some of the best.
That'll be something coming up soon, maybe. But so last year for Father's Day, we'll talk about Father's Day here soon. But last year for Father's Day, I took my father-in-law to go see a Rockies game, which was my first Rockies game since you and I went to a Rockies game, bro. Like literally 10, 15 years ago.
That was forever ago. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was last time I went to a Rockies game. But when we went to the Rockies game with my father-in-law, we lost again. We lost to the Yankees. And so then I went to go see a Nuggets game and they lost. And I'm like, every time I go to a Bronco game and I want them to lose, they win. But when I'm going to all these other games, I want them to win and they lose. Like, this is lame. I don't like Denver games.
Dude, sometimes, yeah, sports, like I'll get into something and then they lose. And I'm like, why did I even try to pay attention? Because I wouldn't have cared. And then I got invested. And now I'm mad.
That's like I know that it's part of like it's competition, it's part of the fun, but it's like that's the worst part is like being a fan of something and then they lose. Like we talked about it many times with the Packers and everything, but I was just like,
I say we've had a pretty good run with the Packers though. You know, like yeah, it always sucks losing in the playoffs, but like at least we've been in the playoffs for the majority of the time that we've been fans.
So I just saw this post yesterday and it caught me off as a surprise. It was one of those like Instagram videos and it was like winningest team since 2015, right? Or whatever, like a very specific. I actually think it was 2020. It was like winningest team since 2020. And they were just going through them and they started at 9 and I can't remember the team. Oh, it was the Steelers, right? It was like starting off at 9, it was the Steelers. And I was like, okay, I could see the Packers being like 8th or 7th here. And then, you know, the 8th came by, the 7th came by, the 6th came by. And I was like, oh, okay, so the Packers must have been like 10th or something. All of a sudden, it gets to number 3, and that's where the Packers were. The Packers are since 2020, they are the 3rd most winningest team behind the Bills and the Chiefs. And I was like, dang, I forget that we kind of we are good. Like I forget that.
Yeah, we just didn't do well in the playoffs. I mean, with Rodgers, since Matt LaFleur, we basically had a lot of like 13-win seasons, which is like killer. If you can win 13 games.
Didn't he start his first 3 seasons 13-3?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, and so which then like, no coach has done that, I think. So
yeah, and then last year we had were we like 12 and something? I know we just got into the playoffs.
No, we were I want to say 9-8.
Yeah, something low. It was like way lower. But first year with the new quarterback, got in the playoffs, crushed the Dallas' heart, which was like my Super Bowl. Anytime we knocked Dallas out of the playoffs, that's my Super Bowl. So
yeah, I did see some stuff like I do believe that it's like if you were destined to win the game, you're gonna win the game, right? Like if you really deserve to win the game, you would win the game. I feel that way, and that's just a general rule I like to live by because of like how bad the refs can be or blah blah blah, you know, this that. But I was watching a thing and it was talking about the Packers and it was like even like if you look at their games last season, our losses were lost by like a field goal or a touchdown. Like we didn't really lose by much, but then also there was always like really bad call. Like there was always like one or two plays that defined the game, and that's why we lost. You know, so it's like we really weren't that bad last year, regardless of what our record says. You know, 9-8. A lot of them were really close games that could have been either team's favor. And so I'm looking forward to this year.
I think there's always a handful of teams that like that's how their season goes. It's just like make or break. Keep losing by under a single score, like just super close games. Like that happens often. You know, I've seen other Packer seasons that were very similar to that. And on the note of like going to games, dude, Roman Dog's gone to a lot of football games, man. That kid, you know, that's because of me. Mainly it's actually because of Bobby. She likes to take him to football games, but we went and saw the Packers versus the Broncos this year. I think he saw another game. as
Did you guys
well.
go to a preseason game? I can't remember.
No, we went to the shareholders meeting though for the Green Bay Packers since we're shareholders.
Yeah.
We did that. Dude's gone to some sporting events for sure as a kiddo, and I do think it's fun to take him to games too that are not specifically just like he likes football. And we know he likes football. He'll like sit down and watch a football game. But like when we take him to like a hockey game or something that normally he's not too interested in, but then he gets interested in it when he's there, it's always a blast.
Yeah, I want to look more into sports. I will say this. So growing up, especially the schools that we went to, baseball was never relevant to us, right? We never played baseball really, and our schools didn't offer baseball. Rockies were bad, so like we just never really like had that interest. And kind of same goes for hockey. Basketball, you guys had more interested in, and I tried basketball, and I think I've already said this, but like I did quit it. I'm not proud of that sentence, but I did quit it. But really, what it was I was playing basketball because I was like, oh, this is what my siblings do. Like this is what I should do. I went to play basketball, and I actually hated it. And even now, like I don't like the sport. Like it's fun to watch the games, and it's fun to watch these like essentially gladiator sized guys like slam dunking and hitting threes and stuff. Like it's fun to watch, but like the foul system is the lamest system in the world. I hate everything about the basketball foul system, dude. The flopping and how if you're like on the edge of out of bounds, you can throw the ball at the person's feet and they kick it out or whatever, and then it goes against them. I'm like, that is so lame. Like that is so like the fact that you can like intentionally make someone else foul against you. I hate it. I don't like it at all.
I'll say I hate that you only have to watch the fourth quarter with basketball for like 90% of the games. And then even like, and if you're up by 10 going into the last like 3 minutes of the game, like you guaranteed won the game. And the last, it's just like when you do get a magical moment, it is fun, but like those are so far in between. And like the end of the game just usually always drags on. And I'm like, meh.
Yeah, I do think that the kind of like you said it, the magical moments, I don't know if that's exactly the word I would use, but more so like the really cool moments. For instance, like I don't like basketball. I had a lot of fun watching it this season though, just like kind of as an entertainment thing. That's like literally it. I don't look at it from a strategic standpoint. I don't look at it just purely like entertainment, like as if it was a TV show. It was a lot of fun, but I did love The Last Dance, the Michael Jordan documentary on Netflix. I have watched it like 3 times. Like I love that documentary, but it's essentially a highlight reel of those magical moments that Jonathan's talking about. And so it's like, yeah, like that particular situation, like basketball's version of like a magical moment or like their storytelling in basketball is incredibly fun to listen to and hear, and like the journey of going through their seasons and everything. But I don't know. I could never see myself playing basketball. I can never see myself playing basketball.
Say, I played it in high school. I never really got good at it. Me and Bobby just got a basketball hoop for outside to play horse and then like play with Roman as he gets a little bigger and stuff like that. And yeah, it's not like the most fun sport out there, but I think it's important to kind of learn the like hand-eye coordination of basketball, dribbling, shooting, layups, things like that. Because they kind of translate to other sports like beer pong and
Nah, I think you getting a basketball hoop is great for the kiddos. I'm not saying that no one should play basketball. It's just for me, I just don't. I personally don't get it. I personally don't get it.
Well, the one thing with basketball opposed to football and even I guess with baseball you can do it, but like pickup leagues, you know, like that's the cool thing with baseball, basketball. I mean, most sports other than football, you can like once you graduate high school, you can find leagues and still play. So if you like really enjoyed basketball in high school, you could be 40 and still go play like a pickup league and play some basketball. Where Football, there's like more and more flag football leagues showing up, but like if you enjoy tackle football, that those days are done the moment you're out of high school or college.
Remember when we tried to do a flag football league up in the mountains with Colin?
We got smoked.
Dude, I think we played like one
speed.
game.
Flag football is all speed, and that's not what I had in high school. I had strategy, and I could tackle really well, but speed is not my game.
It is not my game now. None of us have been necessarily fast, but it is what it is.
With traveling to Dallas, do you like traveling for work or do you hate it? Because I know before the YouTube channel really took off, I was like, man, I would definitely be someone that enjoyed traveling for work. And then it got to a point where I have this goal to ride every resort in the United States. I travel a lot. I tend to like flying way more than driving to places. But I do a lot of traveling for work, and I definitely enjoy it. But do you enjoy it?
So I don't mind it, but there are some variables. So I think that, so to put it in perspective, this is gonna sound obvious, but it's like I love my job. I really do. I love my job. But like these ComicCon conventions, those aren't necessarily like my thing. I don't think that they ever will be. As in, like I would never go to a Comic-Con outside of work. Like I just like that's my relationship with it. So my goal of becoming an esports organization, if I was traveling to go to a Halo tournament, I would be so much more excited, and I would like traveling to that would be not a problem. And even traveling to these conventions, it's not a problem. I will say, like it kind of like you got to do what you got to do. It's grind time, like focus, like nobody cares, work harder type stuff, and I'm okay with that. But it's like it did suck. Like Friday morning, waking up at 3, to then get ready. Somebody, my colleague came to pick me up. It just made more sense that way, so he picked me up. We go to the airport, fly out, land at 9 a.m. in Texas, which is 8 a.m. in Colorado. And then I go straight to a convention where my other team didn't have the booth set up. So then we had to set up the booth, and then I'm there all day standing. And so it's like a 18,000 step day or something like that. I was up at 3 a.m. And then I didn't go to bed till like 11 o'clock that night. And like that was the day. And I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, doing that, like, that's a lot, especially because then you wake up the next morning at 6 a.m., get ready, and go and do it again. And then the next day, same thing. Wake up at 6 a.m., go, and then you get to leave early. It's 5 p.m., you get to leave early, but you also have to take down your booth and move everything. And we decided that the fastest way of doing it is, instead of trying to wait in this long line to like park our van inside the venue, we just started taking everything down on our like roller beds and stuff like that. And like, so it's an exhausting day, but like I'm okay with that. I really am. And then like you wake up at 3 a.m. the next day to then fly back home. And so there's just, every day is just nonstop. Every day is physically exhausting. And there's like no free time, and the free time I do get, I'm trying to edit videos for my company and stuff. So like I'm still working. So I'm not saying all this, and I'm not trying to complain. It's just like that's really like that's the experience of it. It's a hard experience. It's not made for everybody. That next week I'm a little tired, but other than that, I think it's a great opportunity for me to do that. So
no, definitely. I get those long days. I mean, the last day of my camp, we had to check out by 10, drop all the campers off by 12 for their flight, return the rental car, then like obviously load up all of our gear and stuff when we left the camp house and make sure we don't leave it a mess. Then we drove 18 hours straight home, which got us home at like 7 a.m. And then it was Father's Day. So then the kids were like, Dad, and obviously my wife missed me. So then I got maybe like 6 hours of car sleep, which is like the highest quality of sleep you can get on the planet. And so yeah, like that day of coming back, you're just like, oh. So yesterday I tried to wake up early, to like get after work, and it wasn't happening. I was like, oh no, I should probably just like rest a bit. And then with the ankle hurting and stuff too, my motivation, like being injured, man, it kills, at least for me, someone that's super physical and active. And most of my joy or free time comes from like snowboarding or summer boarding or skateboarding. Like when I'm making my content, that's kind of like my joy for the day. Even though it's work, it's like if that makes sense. Like when I go snowboarding, it's like what I want to do and I absolutely love it. Even though I'm working, it's like that's my me time. And then the rest of my day is structured around being a rad dad and family time, but also like work. So that when the me time is taken away and all of a sudden it just becomes like your day is only work, you're like, oh, dang it. Like that's not fun.
Yeah, no, I can't remember if we've talked about this, to be honest, but I feel like I can tell when my person, my brain, my person or whatever is like maturing. And I've always considered myself, like everyone has, I'm just owning it up. Like everyone has always considered me more mature for my age than not, right? And I do think that I actually have matured quickly. This is all self-diagnosed theoretical stuff here, guys. But what I'm getting at,
we call that ego.
Yes, exactly. what I'm getting at is like I feel like I see it, that like I'm going through another like kind of, sorry, my head is itchy. I'm going through like another kind of like change in my life.
Evolution.
And like what it kind of is like I really am like fed up with a lot of stuff, and I'm just like ready to like just put my head down and just work. Like that's the only thing I want to do, is just like put my head down and work. And I've noticed, and I'm not happy about this because I've never been like this, but I've noticed that my patience is a little bit shorter with some people. And so to everybody out there, I apologize if I come off a little rude every now and then right now, but it's just like I was asking Kirsty about it. I'm like, I just don't know. And maybe like you're a great person to ask, but it's like when you reach that point where you're just like fed up with like the system and you're like, I need to go full time in YouTube and all that stuff. Like, did you kind of get short with people where you're just like, I don't have time for you to I don't have time for you essentially. Like if you're being a nuisance or you're in the way, it's like, can you just like leave me alone right now? Like I just don't have time for this. Like I've got other stuff to do. Do you know what I'm trying to say here? Like I don't.
Yeah, it goes two ways. So I turned over all my friends in the sense of like, good example. I mean, they're still like acquaintances and they're good people, but like I stopped hanging out with Jesse and Carlton and Niall and all these people that were like my good friends that I hung out with all the time because they didn't care about getting better. They just wanted to like play video games, work their 9-to-5 job, and like just they're gonna do the same job for the rest of their lives essentially. Like I could be wrong about that, but in that time frame, like that's all they cared about doing. Where I was like in this heavy evolution of like learning to be a business owner, learning about content creation, just trying to become like level up. And so the people that were not leveling up or on a higher level than me, I had to leave behind. So I turned over a lot of friends. And then, yes, it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yo, I'm getting after this right now. I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to improve. So if you can do this in moments of times, and it's not the greatest spot to be in, but everyone can get in the spot, and it's fine if you are there. But like if you weren't benefiting my life or had something to add to my life, then I just didn't need you in my life, essentially. So like if I met someone and they didn't have anything to give me, whether that was like to help film or to like motivate or had something that they could benefit me with, it was like, oh yeah, nice to meet you. I don't have time for you, essentially, because like you have nothing to add to this train that I'm on or this path that I'm heading in. So as much as I say it, it sounds messed up. Like if you didn't have anything to give me, then I didn't need you. But at the same time, the people that were giving into me, I gave a lot back to them. So like Michael, the ski doctor, is a great example of that. Dude was showing up and filming for me, and I was promoting his business. And so he was giving me everything he had, and I was in return feeding his business and giving him a ton of clients for his company. So I just made sure I found people that like it ebbed and flowed, where they gave me a bunch of, and I could give back to them, and we grew together essentially. So I think that's just life, bro. It's a part of growing up.
I was gonna say, I think I want to just help with your wordage here because it sounded a little intense. It's not like you were saying if you don't have any value to me, then I like don't want to talk to you. It's just, it's more so it's like, if you can't help me like essentially accomplish my goals, right? If you can't help me grow, then I don't have space for you in my life, right? Like you've got limited time, you got limited space, and you need to fill it with positive things. And so it's like, if somebody can't help you accomplish your goals, and if you can't help them accomplish their goals, you didn't necessarily want them to be a part of that, like that limited space and time that you had. So I get that.
And I was also having kids at that same time, Roman and Bristol. And so like, not only was all my effort and time going into like growing my business, and that was very time consuming. The time that I wasn't doing that, I was learning how to be a dad and being a better husband to Bobby, who, like, when you have kids, that marriage relationship is being stretched and pulled in so many directions. And so your marriage takes a lot more time and energy. Being a parent takes a lot of time and energy because you're figuring it out. So yeah, it was like, if all you want to do is like go get a beer, like I can't do that. So like, hit me up in 20 years once I've retired or something. But and once again, it's not this like, oh, I'm not going to talk to you, I'm better than you. You don't get to be in my great life. It was just like, yeah, I don't have a lot of time or energy or bandwidth. So like, the people that could show up and go snowboard with me and help me make my YouTube videos, that's who I hung out with. And if you couldn't do that, then you didn't get to hang out with me, because that was the only time I had to quote unquote hang out, was the actual riding portion of my life.
I get that. I will say my situation is different. It's just being like out front. Like, yes, I've got friends. I do have friends, but it's like, I don't have friends I hang out with or talk with very often. Right. I played Halo last night for the first time in like 2 weeks with my buddy Kyle, who I actually mentioned in last week's podcast. So go check that out. But like I just don't talk to a lot of people, and I keep to myself, and I'm okay with that. That's not my problem. It's more so it's just like, I don't think anyone's going to listen to this. I don't care. But it's like while I was at Dallas, like I was getting frustrated with my colleagues because the situation was they were just arguing about the way we should do stuff more so than just like doing it. And I know how important a plan is, but it's like I was getting frustrated because it was like they weren't listening to me or whatever, even though like I know it was right and I know it's biased to say that, but it's like I try to like I love collaborating. I love listening to people's ideas. I love just doing the best thing. I don't care if it's my idea. I don't care if it's somebody else's idea, as long as we get this done. And like I just noticed people would like argue with me and then end up doing what I'm saying, and I was just like, why are we even arguing? And I was just like getting frustrated. It's like, I don't have time for this. Like, why are we doing this? Like, just go. Like I said, like I was getting more short with people, where it's just like, and I've never been that type of person. I've always been like a people pleaser. I've always been a very polite person. And that's just something that I like got from my, growing up and everything. And so I kind of felt bad being in the situation, but I have kind of had like a thought more where it's like, I have always been a people pleaser. I do kind of want to not do more of what I want, but no, like I am also important in a lot of situations. So I don't know if that's kind of what's been causing it, but really it's just like, I don't have time for this stuff. Like I've got like, let's go. I don't know. I've just been in like a go mode. And if people can't keep up, I'm like, come on, let's go. Like, I don't know how to explain it. I just have been kind of, I'm both like happy that I'm caring more about my wants, but I'm also like, don't be an asshole. Like, I don't know. I'm teeter-tottering, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. It is hard because, especially like, so me being the boss of like the camp that I just did, like I had technically roughly, I had 2 full-time people there that were working for me, and then someone that was kind of like helping, and so as the leader, the boss, like, you got to give people direction and make sure things are getting done. And then when someone's like slacking off, it's So I hate it. You know, I hate to be like the dude that's like, yo, dude, go get this done. Like, what the heck? Or like having to step into that like snappy role, like the like snippiness, or like thankfully when I don't have to argue with people as much now that I am kind of the boss in this. I mean, obviously I listen to what everyone says. I do not have all the best ideas. Like, three brains is better than one brain type situations. But at the end of the day, like, I can always pull the like, all right, guys are doing it my way, and just deal with it. And that is a nice the trump card, being like, I'm the boss, we're doing it this way. Like, you guys can't figure it out, so we just need to take action. So like when you run into those like, guys, we're just arguing, can we just make a decision? Like, thankfully I have the ability to be like, no, we're taking action. I don't care if it's the wrong way. We just need to start moving, because standing here bickering is ridiculous.
So where I struggled with it, bro, was this. I looked up the word, because number one, I am trying to increase my vocabulary, but also I was like, there has to be a word for this, and I didn't know what it was, and I figured it out. I looked it up. So my problem was we had a contrarian on our trip. I didn't know the word. I'm just going to ask you, do you know the word, a contrarian?
Some of that contradicts everything that is happening.
Essentially, like they're just they're going to say no, like, or like they're going to disagree with you just for the sake to disagree with you.
I call them cake pissers.
Cake pissers, exactly. I love that phrase. I was just thinking about that phrase the other day, bro. But let me finish this. So for the contrarian, like, it was so bad that at one point they made a joke about it. They were like, me and somebody else were talking. They were doing their own thing, and like, kind of when we were done saying a sentence, the guy was like, "No, that's not gonna work." And we're like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I just said that just to say it." Like, he literally joked about being a contrarian, and that's all that they did. And that was what was driving me crazy, where it's just like, I don't have time for this. Like, I don't have time to deal with you. Like, I honestly got to a point where I was like, I'm just going to do me. I'm going to do my work. And you, like, instead of being in this team effort right now, because it clearly isn't working, I'm just going to keep doing me, because I know that what I'm doing is working. And like, that's just what I did.
Yeah. No, yeah, there's some people that, for the sake, I would say I had one on my team slightly that would, just for the sake of like, oh, let's make this a little interesting, I'm gonna disagree with this plan, or I'm going to want it to be my way, even though either way is already gonna work. And so you're just like, man, why are we even arguing about this? This is dumb.
I don't know, man. Man.
That's the beauty of working a job, because you got to work with all types of person, especially like, I haven't had to do it really in a long time, but when you have to work with someone, when I was the manager at Target, and I would run the logistics process and have like 40 people underneath me, the characters that you would get, and like, you didn't hire them, like someone, maybe a different manager hired them. You know, you get people from all walks of life, and experiences and personalities, and just finding the way of taking like a bunch of people that should never be on the same team and getting them to ebb and flow with each other, and not fight as adults, was such a chess game. But at the same time, like, I truly enjoyed it. And like, as bad as it sounds too, is like, you have like your studs, and you have your like lazy people that just suck at the job. And so like, you're trying to get the studs to do the majority of the work without them feeling like they're doing the majority of the work, while getting the lazy people just to give you something. Like, so happy that I don't have to deal with that anymore. But I could, like, with you not being the boss and you just being one cog in the machine, like, you have to deal with those people. And like, I don't envy you, bro.
So, I know what you're talking about, like, the word is, as we're trying to tiptoe around it, but just being honest, the word is essentially like manipulate, like, you know, and I'm not saying people, but the situation, you know how to manipulate the situation, right? Here's your studs, here's your duds, and you got to like manipulate it to where everyone flows together, but then also you've got so many different personality types. So I know exactly what you're saying, as I've done similar situations with like managing trucks and things like that. And yeah, like, it's a situation you have to go through, and like, it's a lesson that everyone needs to learn, and it's gonna only help you. I'm sure that it helps you with your business even today. So It's not a bad skill to have to learn. Now, for me, I'm such a unique situation, bro, because I don't necessarily work retail or anything like that. I don't work customer service. I'm a social media manager for a company that offers those jobs, but that's not what I do. Now, I'm also not a terrible person. Like, I'm not saying that it's not, it was never, nobody told me to do it. It was just kind of the expectation, and I am 1,000% okay with it. But it's like, technically, I don't have to really help them at the venue because I'm just there to film. But it's also like, I'm a team player. So no, I'm going to help you sell stuff, even though I don't know what I'm selling. I'm going to help you greet customers. I'm going to help you, build the booth, take it down, all that stuff. So
imagine if you didn't, you would be the biggest jerk. I couldn't imagine if I was a salesperson,
the ego,
the social media manager, and that was like, oh, I'm only here to film. Oh, I can't load the comics into the truck. That's not my job. I'm the social media person. I'd have been like, well, dude, help. Like, you need to help.
Well, no, exactly. But so the guy that kind of like heads the whole thing, I did express my frustration to him, where I was like, dude, I'm gonna keep it real with you. I am frustrated right now. Here's why. I was like, just the way he like knows where like my head's at, because I was just like, dude, that's where I'm at. But the reality is, like, no one's my boss. Like, it's weird. My boss are the owners of the company. Now, yes, there's like a hierarchy. So technically there is like, the warehouse manager is above me, right? So if I'm doing something wrong, yeah, he can step into the situation. But like, no, my managers are the owners of the company. So it is a weird, like, I don't know, it's a weird dynamic, but like I said, I'm a team player, and that's just the way I am. So like, I'm not there to be that guy. I'm there to help. I'm there to get stuff done. I honestly try to get more done on those days of like moving, when we were taking down the venue and stuff. I kid you not, I was taking 2 carts at the same time, and these carts were like super awkward. One was like those wagons that you buy, like that like soccer moms have, full of snacks and stuff like that. Like, I had that wagon with that flimsy little plastic like handle and a flatbed with on front, and I overstacked both of them, and I'm like walking through this venue trying to go up and down ramps and go to elevators and go through double doors by myself. Like, I was doing that because I try to do extra on those days. I don't know, I push myself.
Do you guys have to worry about theft on these events? Are people out there stealing comic books and things?
So yes and no. So we have a lot of procedure. I say a lot of procedures, but we have some higher end stuff. And when I say higher end stuff, like, literally, we got comic books that are worth like $3,000, things like that. We brought something that is there to catch people's eyes. It's fun to bring. It's not necessarily something that's going to sell, but we brought what's called a Magic Revised box. And what that is essentially, when Magic the Gathering came out, it came out with it was one of the first like trading card games, and they didn't know what to expect or anything like that, and they created a bunch of cards, and they're called the Power 9. They're 9 of the most powerful cards to ever exist, and they were like stupid strong, stupid overpowered. And so what they did was they had a revised version of the deck box come out, where they took out those Power 9, those stupid powerful things. That was in like 1997. We have a sealed box of that. It's called Revised, like I said. So we got a sealed box of that, and it's $11,000. So we had that with us at the venue. So stuff like that, that's like those higher end comics and that stuff, we put them in boxes, and then we actually keep them with us. Some of the other stuff, like the couple $100 stuff, we do have some other lock boxes at the venue that we put them in, so they were locked up. But other than that, like, there is a lot of just how do I say it? Like, camaraderie, or just overall like respect given by a lot of the customers, or a lot of the venue goers, whatever, the Comic-Con goers. There's a lot of respect between the people. It doesn't seem like that's a major problem. It doesn't seem like it's a major problem, but at night, we do put tarps over all of our stuff to try to essentially like hide it and kind of like tuck it away, so it's a lot harder to get to. But also, if someone does get to it, we would know. I don't think there's really any theft issues between the workers, the booths what am I trying to say? Like the exhibitors, basically the people that are like selling stuff at the venues. Though I don't think that there's really any theft issues there. I'm not saying that there can't be or there hasn't been. It's just like I don't think that there's much of it. We haven't experienced anything, but we also try to take those extra precautions on those higher end items. So
yeah, I just feel like comic books or like cards or things like that. It'd be so simple for someone if they really wanted to like come be like looking and then like steal a card or something.
No, 100%. Honestly, my biggest concern is my camera equipment and everything. I think that that's a little bit more, I wouldn't say tempting, but like, I don't know. I feel like some people are a little bit more willing to try to steal something like that. We had 4 people go to the event though, and we never had less than 2 people there, but we tried to have 3 people there the whole time to keep eyes on everything. Now we were a corner booth, which has a lot of pros to it, as in being in a corner booth, you get essentially like 2 lanes of traffic at the same time. It's like that's a great experience and whatnot. But I will say it was, it's also kind of bad because the left side of our booth was kind of exposed to that main walkway. So yeah, somebody could have just reached their hand over our grate, because it was like a 4.5 foot tall grate. It's not that tall, or maybe 5 feet. I think it was 5 feet. Regardless, somebody could just reach over or grab something. And so, but honestly, just with all the retail experience I have, especially with Best Buy, there's so much stuff there. I feel like I paid extra attention to that stuff. I just try my best to pay attention to that stuff, especially if somebody looks kind of sketchy. I'm like, what are you doing there?
So my question is, at the next event, are you going to sell the $11,000 box? Imagine if you were the person that sold it. Come on, you just gotta stand in front and be like, hey, you want to buy the big box?
I will say this, like, once again, doing the sales I've done and everything like that, I have got people to buy into some stuff. And I had some fun with some people with that box of Revised. I was joking with them a lot and just having fun, and that's, we were given some advice. So there's like a collector con, I want to say that's what it's called. I don't know exactly what it is, but it's essentially like a convention that's dedicated to collectors. Not saying that Comic Cons aren't. I technically got some stuff. I got these Aang Funko Pops. I'm showing them to the camera right now. Got some Aang Funko Pops signed by the actor from the live action. He was at the con, so I got these signed. So, you can still get some collector items, stuff like that. But there's conventions that are dedicated to that stuff, like dedicated to hardcore collectors. And we were recommended to take one like that to one of those shows, and that's where we get the most money out of it. So that would be fun. It's tough though, because like I don't do well with selling stuff that I know nothing about, and I know that's what makes a good salesperson. I never said I was a great salesperson, but it's just like, it's hard to sell something, especially that much, if you know like nothing about it, if that makes any sense.
Trust me, I try to sell my camp all the time, and I don't know anything about it. Not joking.
Yeah, you get hurt on your camp. No, I'm joking.
Come to my camp, I won't be there. That's happened twice now. Because Bristol. But that's my 5th year doing camp. It's crazy to think like 5 years ago I started doing this camp thing.
5 years ago.
Just wrapped
Holy
up
cow.
5th year of it being successful. And man, I look back at a lot of the stuff. It's like, dang, we've been doing it. I just wrapped up. Technically, like camp is like the end of the season. Like I'll still snowboard through the summer, but like let's be real, like the big chunk of snowboarding is now done. So it's like, dang, I just wrapped up my 8th season on YouTube, my 5th snowboard camp. It's funny because like I've had a couple haters be like, oh, people paid $3,000 for Buckhouse and not even be able to snowboard with them and blah blah blah. Like people just want to hate, and it's like, yo, dude, like at least I'm out here trying. And that's like kind of been the whole thing with my YouTube career is like, do I have business technically running a snowboard camp? Like probably not, but I just did it, started doing it, and it's worked out. It's still working out. Like it was a great time. And if you're out there and you're like trying to do a YouTube channel, trying to do something, like, dude, get into stuff you almost have no business doing, and figure it out and just like learn along the way, and it's gonna be rad. It's gonna work out. And so, yeah, I coach 1 to 2 weeks out of the year, and it's fun. And I've gotten a lot better at coaching and noticing what people need to improve on and stuff.
There was a thing by Casey that sorry, I'm on a first name basis with him, unlike you guys. Casey Neistat, where he said, or he's got a video, I think, literally titled "Do What You Can't," and it's just talking about the motivating thing of like when people are like, "You can't do that." He's like, "Well, I did it," and like just going. It was one of those motivating videos by him, and it was just I loved that video, but in it was also like, I can't remember the quote exactly, but it was like, "Stop telling people that are." Stop telling people that they can't do something when they're already doing it, or something like, like something along those lines. And it was just like, yeah, like, why are people like mad at you for doing that camp? It's like, I'm doing it, like, period. I'm doing it. It's done. Like,
and I've already done it. And like, just, I don't get it. And we talked about haters in the last couple episodes or whatever, but yeah, like, I've probably had like 5 people like write me being like, you're ripping people off or something. I'm like, what are you talking? Like, it's a fully curated, all-inclusive camp, 5 days of shredding, like ultra incredible time. And you're going to get better at snowboarding because I can't, like, I don't understand why people, so I haven't taken all the coaching certifications. Essentially, I haven't gone and done all of the pay us, like, what I'm trying to say is like structured coaching certifications that essentially it's like going to college and getting your degree, but for snowboarding. And so I haven't went and done that, despite just going out and learning how to do the work, if that makes sense. So like, if I went and did all the certifications, I could go get my Cert 3 snowboard instructor in a year. I know I could do it. But why go pay all that money? It'd be like thousands of dollars for me to go do that, to get these certifications, when I can already ride and teach and do that without it. And also, like, most people that are coming to my camp just want to learn how to hit a box or like hit their first snowboard jump or 180. It's like, these are very, 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 very basic skills and drills that I can easily teach without certifications. But then people will be like, oh, running a camp and you're not even certified instructor. It's like, dude, you guys are just so annoying and dumb. And I definitely I chirp back for sure.
So I've noticed this with certain hobbies, especially once again with my job of just these comic books and trading cards and sports cards and just like movie statues and everything. Like it's a fandom, right? Everything is a fandom that I essentially like make content for. And what I'm noticing when it comes to hobbies, including snowboarding, what we're talking about is like people are snobby towards each other. Like if they don't understand, like you don't have the certs, It's like, dude, you don't have the certs, but you've got like 16 years of high level snowboarding under your belt. Like I going and spending a year to get those certs is just it's a piece of paper. That's all that it is. Like, and
I also don't like the ego that's involved with it, man. The dudes that like are the instructors and go get all the certs and things like that. So much of it's like ego, high schooly. Like, oh, I work at Breckenridge and I'm one of the Cert 2s. Like, I'm the only Cert 3 with my children's this, that, whatever. And it's just like it's a lot of it is just ego based essentially. And then also, if I go do the certs, it's like one dude that like will run the clinic, and then you have like there's like a teach day and then a demonstration day, and then like it's like usually they're like 3 days long, and then the instructor at the end of the day just gets to pick like you passed or not, And so like if I get a dude that doesn't like me because I'm going to be showing up with well-known credibility, you know what I'm saying? And they could be like, oh, I didn't pass Buckhouse from his cert. They could have that over me. Like there's another, and that could just be like a false fear, essentially. But yeah, there's a lot of ego involved in it. try and stay away from ego stuff.
I just I've realized, especially with some of the content that I've created, knowing this is like people want to be correct. People want to correct somebody. They want to be the person that's correct. They want to be the right person. And I'm not saying that you should want to be the wrong person or be the wrong in situations, but they want it so much that people manipulate their content towards that. Such as for us, we have a Guess That series. That's what we call it. But essentially, like a common one is like, who's that Pokemon? That's a very popular thing. And we do that on a weekly basis. We do a who's that athlete, where we give a couple hints and maybe like the silhouette, and you're supposed to guess who the athlete is. And we're going to do that for all of them, like comic book characters, magic cards, flesh and blood stuff. So like, we're going to get content going for all of this stuff. And what it is like, people want to be like, oh, I know who that athlete is, or oh, I know who that Pokemon is, and they're like commenting it because their ego gets them. By knowing that, we manipulate it to where it's like, you want to tell us that you're smart, and so you're gonna comment on our thing, being like, oh, that was easy, that's blah blah blah, that's Pikachu, and all you did was like helped our engagement, right? So it's like, people have that like undying need to be correct, so much so that we manipulate our content towards that. And it goes to like those certs and stuff.
I'll say it's funny because we're literally trying with Roman right now to tell him that he doesn't have to be right all the time when it comes to him and his sister. Like, he's always trying to correct Bristol and always trying to be right. We're like, Roman, it's fine. Like, she said that you have pizza on your face and you don't. Like, you're fine, dude. Like, she's just being a 2-year-old, like trying to teach him not to have that truly like human ingrained, like, I have to be right all the time. And I think a part of becoming like a high level human is just letting other people think they're right when you know they're wrong. Just got to be like,
I was just about to go there. Where it's like
don't argue with dumb people.
The happiest thing I did was just like, I don't argue with dumb people, or just like letting somebody be right and just like let them be right, because like I don't have the time to argue with you about this. And something that I kind of started doing, I started doing this a while ago, and luckily I don't have to do it too often, but it's like, if somebody just like wants to express their opinion or like express their correctness so bad or whatever, and I just like don't have the time, I'll just be like, and I'm happy for you for that. And like, that's it. That's all. And I'd be like, and I'm happy for you. I'm happy for you for that. Like, I'm happy that you feel that way. And just, that's that. Right. It's because I really am. I'm just like, I'm happy that's the way you want to be. I'm happy for you.
And in a lot of ways, I learned that with my growth on social media is you'll never be able to argue someone into liking you. You'll never be able to argue your point. Like, when the people are talking trash about my camp and how much it costs, like, I'm not going to argue with them why it is valuable, because to the people that it is valuable to, it's almost priceless. And the fact that I have such an insane amount. So we had 8 campers this year, and technically we had 9 campers this year, and 6 of them were returning.
There you go.
It's like
they found value in it.
And like, some of them were coming back for their 3rd camp, 4th camp. It's like, there's clearly value in this thing. And there's a bunch that said they wanted to come back, just that their money wasn't in the right spot this year. And I get that, because everything's more expensive. My camp was more expensive to run this year. Yeah. And like, lift prices went up, things like that. So it's like, I think we could end the podcast with, don't argue with dumb people. If someone is just dumb, they want to ride the dumb ship into the iceberg and go down with it, just let them. Like, dude, you can stay on that boat. I'm going over here. You're so right, dude.
It's funny. I know we're ending the podcast, but just to full circle it back to the beginning, where it's like, you talked about how it's like, if somebody can't add value to your life, then like, just let it be. The people that like that don't argue with stupid people, those are also those people. They're on that boat and they're ready to be wrongly correct or whatever it may be, and they're going to argue with you over nothing. You don't need those people in your life. Jump on the other boat. Let's go.
Yeah. See you later, dude. Enjoy that ship. Like it's yeah. That's my advice for this week.
But on that note, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you guys so much for listening. This is episode 12 of the podcast. If you guys missed it, you guys can go to our links on Spotify or on YouTube to go look at the other podcasts. Like I said, this is the 12th episode. You got 11 other episodes to listen to if you haven't. But we appreciate you guys for calling by. Like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Got anything to say, bro?
Yeah, just drop engaging comments so we can not only read them, but join in our conversation. Let us know if we're the dumb people that think we're correct, and then maybe drop topics for future podcasts or things like that. I'm truly enjoying this, where just get on and talk with my little brother and catch up and share our experiences and our struggles. I feel like we've shared a lot of struggles on this podcast, which is really exciting because life is not smooth or fluid. And for someone who, like, looking at my YouTube channel from the outside might look like it's all going great and lots of subscribers and views and videos and things. And then I'm like, oh, I blew my ankle out and couldn't snowboard at my snowboard camp. And like from the outside looking in at my camp, you might have thought like, dang, that was a flawless, incredible camp, where I'm like, dang it, I didn't get to shred. Like things like that. So like life's a struggle and that's okay. And I'm happy to share my struggles with you guys. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and keep killing it.
Keep killing it, guys. We'll see you guys next week with another podcast.
Peace.